Y'all, Facebook, it's 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 doing us dirty. It's doing us dirty today. Um, I'm in here like, yeah, but like this isn't right. Facebook is doing us dirty today, y'all. Hi, I'm so sorry. If you're joining me, if you've stuck it out with me, if you're like waiting for this to come pop right back up, A, I appreciate you. B, I'm thinking um, we might re record this because I think it's a conversation that we really, really need to have. And all of this start and stop and start and stop, it is bananas. It's very glitchy. And here's what I'm going to say to be true is that we Facebook is trying to, I mean, there's been some things with third party streaming. I don't know if you guys know that about into groups, and Facebook is trying to kind of get it together on its own. And unfortunately, with that is some glitches, which is where we are, my friends, where we are. So, I want to continue the conversation. So if you're sticking it out with me, I appreciate you. I know that this is not ideal. But as we talk about about parents and expectations, y'all, I know that if you're here with me, you know that I wouldn't, this isn't me trying to be flaky. It's me just trying to roll with the punches, which is what studio owners do so many times is just get to roll with the punches. And sorry, okay, so you're here with me. Let me know that you're back. Let me know who's here back with me. Technology, it's my friend, but not my friend some days. Okay, so part due. Okay, so what we're talking about is we cannot hold parents accountable for expectations we didn't share. So if thank you for coming back with me because lordy, this technology, woo, it's rough. Some days it's rough, but we roll with the punches. And like I said, I think I am going to probably try to re-record this for everyone because there's so much that we can say on this topic. But are we clearly articulating our expectations in multiple fashions? And what I mean by that is it is not enough to just tell parents verbally, we expect our competition students to be at practice the week before nationals. It's not enough to just say that, right? We need to have it in writing. We need parents to agree to it. They need to sign it. Like, how are we communicating with our parents and making sure that our expectations are crystal clear? And what are the repercussions? What are the consequences if they do not fulfill their commitments? And then, my friends, this is where, unfortunately, you might not want to hear this. You have to stick to them. If you say in your team contract that if they miss rehearsals the week before nationals, they are cut no matter what. Oh, thank you, Jessica. This has been rough. But you have to hold the boundary. Because here's the thing. When you're trying to bend over backwards to help someone out because of fear, And this is where it's rooted in. It is always, always rooted in fear. Fear that they're going to be upset. They're going to leave. They're going to, talk bad about you. They're going to create a toxic environment. They're going to, all the things. That's fear. But here's what I want you to hear from me right now is by bending over backwards and bending the rules for one, you are actually hurting the collective. You are showing them that you are not a person of your word. They can do whatever they want and still get what they want. If you set a rule, a boundary, a consequence for an action, you are obligated to live up to your end of the deal. Is it easy? No. Does it hurt internally sometimes? Yes. But why does one person's needs outweigh the rest? They don't. 99% of the time. Now, of course, there's always going to be very special circumstances, like I'm not cold-hearted. And, when a parent comes to me with a problem that is a real, legitimate, life-altering problem, right? I mean, of course, we're going to make concessions when there's huge life effect, like there was deaths in family, like immediate deaths, parents, and all sorts of things, and health issues and things like that. Like, I'm not saying we're we're cold-hearted, but the reality is the parents who are making you lose your sanity, and I'm saying that loosely because it's not actually the parents, it's you. What you allow will continue. Period, the end. What you allow will continue. And it will not get better. It will build and build and build into a bigger thing until you are over it, want to throw in your hat and say, I'm done. What you allow will continue. And it sets the tone for the culture of your studio. Okay? So, when you have those parents who are driving you bananas because, you retaliated, you penalized my daughter for being gone because she had a school trip. No, actually, your perspective is wrong. We didn't penalize your child for being on a school trip, but we were finishing choreography and she wasn't here. Therefore, if you're not here, I cannot place her and try to catch her up. That's not fair to the group who was here, who's showing up and doing the things. I'm not hating on you because you had a school trip or you had a school performance that was mandatory. Like, those things happen, right? But no, she's not going to be in for those 16 counts. She wasn't here. And it's not fair to all the others to try to keep catching up Sally because Sally has other commitments. It's not fair. Your child's needs do not outweigh everyone else's. Your entitlement as a parent does not outweigh everybody else's. But you have to make sure that you're upholding your end. Because if you're not, the only person you can blame is yourself. So sorry. Okay, now let's talk about, any questions there, my friends, about that? Any questions? let's talk about, okay, what can we do to keep our sanity with these parents? Now, again, a lot of this is perspective, my friends. The first thing is when you have those hard things, okay. Okay, I'm gonna expand some. We're gonna talk about that. Okay. Um, so this is the issue. It's every parent thinks their smallest thing is a reason for concession of the contract. It's not something like life or death or illness or injury, which you have in your contract and you will make a concession for, absolutely. But like an appointment, a family vacation, a summer camp that they all have control over but choose not to. So, what you allow will continue. And here's the thing, as a parent, I am making choices for my family. It is a choice. No one is forcing you to choose to take vacation the same week that comp intensive is. That is a choice. No one's forcing you. That's a choice. And it's okay. You can choose that. But we remind parents it's a choice. And you made the choice. So there is a consequence or a repercussion, or every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? Like, you decided to go on vacation that week. That's fine. But guess what? I can't have Sally in our comp team because she didn't come to intensive and auditions. It's here. And we create these for the team. This isn't for me just to make up random things. You come to me and you're paying me because I am the expert. Y'all need to step into your power. You are the expert in your studio. Period. The end. That is it. You are the expert. If they could do it on their own, they would be doing it. Why aren't they doing it on their own? If they know better, do it on your own. Go open up your own studio. Try to teach your own kid. You are the expert in your studio. You are the leader in your studio. You get to decide. But you have to detach yourself from all the feelings. Okay? Here's the thing. I send my child to a studio here in town, right? And I have made decisions on, yes, what classes can she take? If she has to be out, I'm not in there saying, Peyton had a choir performance, and so I would really, I know that there's no makeups, but she's just special. And so why can't we do a makeup class in a different genre? Okay? Like, I don't do that. Because A, you know me, and that's not who I am. But B, I know what the rules are. I have read our contract. If I'm confused about the contract, I will ask a question. But friends, A, it is not your job to parent the parents. Don't. That's not your job. Now, how do we try to mitigate our risk? Right? Yes, it's communication. It is being clear and concise. When these things come up, it's actually updating and revising your handbook. It's updating and revising your contracts. When these things come up that you think, oh my gosh, never in a million years, you learn from it, you course correct, and you make it clear that this is not what we do in our studio. And if you choose to do this, there are other studios for you to choose from. And if there's not in your community, either get your shit together or go because I'm not having it. Okay? The other thing, my friends, and I hate, I know, this is hard. Even I deal with it sometimes. So, I want you to know, I'm not perfect. I'm a work in progress, just like everyone else. But please, 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 please remember two things. Number one, the one parent who is bitching, complaining, questioning why you're charging for recital tickets to see their child, like all those sort of things. Please remember, there is always going to be a very small percentage of people in your studio, no matter how hard you work, no matter how many different pieces of communication you put out, they are just freaking clueless. And you do kind of have to like keep reminding them, like, oh, that's in your parent handbook. Oh, that's in the recital planning book that we sent out to everybody. It's keep pushing them to where you want them to go, but remind them that information has been given to you several times, in fact, but keep pushing them there. Okay. But also remember that you might have 250 students and you have one or two parents who complain, and all of a sudden you guys are like, oh my God, these parents are the worst that they've ever been. No, y'all, 2 does not equate the 250. Those 2 either are not the right fit and or they're just fucking human. Pardon my mouth. I'm so sorry, but we also need to recognize that people are human. We make mistakes. We miss stuff. Guess what? So do they. And it's not always about you. It's not always a personal attack on you, your business, how you do things. It's not always that. It sometimes is a genuine like, hey, I know that you've told me this. I know that it was an email. I searched my email and I'm somehow missing it. And I know that's me and not you. Could you remind me when are recital tickets on sale? That's not a parent being a paying parent, right? It's a genuine like, hey, I know this information came out and I did try to look for it. I just don't know where it's at. But the one doesn't equate to the many. And that's a story we have to stop telling ourselves. And we start down this spiral of like, oh my gosh, all my parents, they're like, I'm over it. They're doing whatever. Like, the one does not equate the many. And you guys need, and I know I might sound like I'm preaching here, and I might be like the mom parenting right now, but the reality is the one does not equal the many. So when a studio owner comes to me and we're having a coaching call and they say, my parents are out of control, the first thing is I say is, tell me exactly what's happening and how many this is happening with. That will tell me where the gap is and where the problem is, and if it's a story, some feelings that are happening, or if there's a fact, if there's a gap in your communication process, if you haven't been clear and concise in your expectations and the consequences, right? But we need to be crystal clear on the reality of things. And if you have, if either you or someone on your team is the sky is falling or is when that one problem happens, right? You're like, oh my gosh, none of these parents listen. Really? Is it none of the parents listen? Or you have one or two or a little handful that need a little extra love because they're so blinders on and the world revolves around them. Okay? But what is the fact versus the feeling? So as we're moving into, and I know it's that time of year where there's a lot of questions, it feels like, because this time of year, we got recitals, which, remember, you are an expert at this. You've done this over and over and over again, but those parents, they have not. This might be their first or second or third, or maybe it is their 10th experience, but there's been small changes. And sometimes people aren't good with change. So we have to remember that. We have to remember that. And remember that you get to decide. You get to decide how you handle parents when they're angry, when they have questions. You get to decide how your team reacts, what's appropriate for your team when they're helping parents. Do you have protocols and SOPs in place for when these things arise? How are you communicating? Are you sending out one email that's verbal diarrhea basically and has like 20 pages of information and expecting your parents to retain all that information from one email? If so, that's on you. People don't learn that way anymore. Like there's some, don't get me wrong, but we have to look at our audience and understand that yes, people have changed. The way they show up, the way they buy, the way that and we have to change or be willing to perish. If you are so stuck in how you've done things for the last 20 years and you are not willing to change, and your enrollment's dropping or your family satisfaction ratings are dropping when you do, if your customer service ratings are dropping, it's because you're unwilling to change. Now, I'm not saying you have to do everything to please everybody, because you don't. But the reality is that society as a whole has changed. And many times we cause our own frustration because we're not willing to change along with the times. Okay? So, my friends, here's what I'm going to say is communication is key. Clearly, effectively articulating your expectations, rules, boundaries, and consequences for when they aren't met. Uphold those consequences when they aren't big things, when they're small little things that they think, oh, but my baby's special. Your baby is special, but not more special than the other 15 that are in this class. Right? They may not want to teach those life skills to their children because they feel entitled, but that doesn't mean that you have to support and enable that habit inside the four walls of your studio. That's the hard truth. What you allow will continue. And if you're seeing a big problem, not the ones and twosies, right? Or the handful here and there when there's, a lot of questions about recital or whatever. If you're having big problems inside your studio that feel like they're too much, then I would encourage you to seek support. You don't have to do it alone, right? The hardest work in being a studio owner isn't all the things that are happening. It's you versus you. You creating boundaries, you detaching from the feelings when people leave you, you doing those sort of things. That's the hard work. The hard work is holding the line, because it aligns with your vision of your studio, who you want to be, what you want your studio to be. But if you don't hold that line and you let the wrong fit parents or the wrong fit families or the wrong fit students or the wrong fit staff dictate things out of fear, you're actually enabling the behavior, and you are the cause of the behavior. Not maybe the cause, but you're the cause of letting it continue. Now, entitlement's a real thing right now. Lord and Lord and Lord. From staff, from parents, from students, holy moly. The entitlement is bananas. But how do you deal with that? You have to decide. You decide what is acceptable behavior. Those parents texting you, first of all, they shouldn't have, my 2 cents, why do they have your phone number to text you? Unless it's like a studio thing, like through Dance Studio Pro or something like that. But like, I had a client who came to me, and I know we need to wrap this up because we've been on for a long time with all these issues, but like, I had a client who came to me who was like hiding in her closet at like 4 o'clock in the morning, responding to parents so she didn't bother her husband in bed. Y'all, no, ma'am. No. And then she was wondering why she was overwhelmed and burnt out and like feeling like she didn't even want to do it anymore. She became an on-demand service. And then that became the expectation from those parents. And those expectations from the parents only grew and grew and grew. To where they were really not feasible and inappropriate, if we're being honest. Okay, so, my friends, here's what I'm going to say. Of course, if you're struggling with parents, if you're struggling, like really struggling, not just the ones and twosies where we let them kind of like take over, but if you're having some real issues when it comes to culture, expectations, inappropriate behaviors, things that are unacceptable that are not the ones and twosies, and you're like, I don't know how to fix this, I would encourage you, let's have a chat. Shoot me a message. We can have a chat. We can talk about things and then how we can support you in course correcting to get you back where you want to be and making sure that the right people are filling up your studios. So we're here to support you with that. It is something that we have tackled time and time again. But I just encourage you to really get perspective on, is it the ones and twosies? If it's the ones and twosies, you guys, be a duck. Be a duck. Let it roll off your back. Let's just roll off your back. Help the people. Don't bring in past stories into each and every conversation, not confrontation, conversation. And I promise you, you will be happier. But you have to hold the line. And if you're having trouble with that, that is something that I support our clients with. So we can talk if you're struggling with that. So I'm going to leave you there. I'm going to get ready for our Empire Roundtable Mastermind Q&A call with my studio owners that are inside that. If that is something that you're looking for support, it is an amazing program that we keep really small in that cohort. And you get private coaching one-on-one with me, as well as all of our group coaching every single week. So it's something that we can talk further about if that's something that interests you. I'm going to leave you there. I hope that you guys have a fantastic day. And I want to leave you with this. You get to decide if this time of year is full of joy or full of frustration, anxiety, angst, drama. You get to decide. It is a choice. It's a choice. You get to decide. And I choose joy. I choose joy. And I hope you do too. I'm going to leave you there. Next week I'll be coming on live. Hopefully we won't have these crazy tech issues. But I hope to see you next Wednesday for another episode of the Aaron Bird Live Show, where we talk all things business, studio ownership, and hopefully a little joy and a little tough love sometimes when we need it. So I'm going to leave you there. Have a fantastic week, my friends. And if you need support, please reach out, book a studio success call with me. It's absolutely complimentary. It's free. And we could see how we could support you in achieving your goals. So I'll talk to you soon, my friends.